Just answered one question and was directly elected president of the United States. And that question turned out to be, if you have a 2-liter bucket and a 5-liter bucket, how many barrels do you have in total? Pete answered tentatively, not 2, right? Everyone was stunned because he was the first person to answer this question. In the future world, humans are collectively becoming idiots. Buildings are tied with ropes when they are about to fall down. The bridge was broken and no one repaired it. The car behind is still stupid to drive down. And the reason for all this, we have to go back to the present. More and more social elites do not like to have children. Instead, those who are idle, very keen on the process of having children. In the long run, good genes gradually disappear. Human intelligence declines dramatically. We become dumber and dumber. In order to solve this problem, scientists have secretly conducted a genetic freezing experiment. They took a man and a woman, Pete and Carrie, a year of hibernation. But no sooner had the experiment begun, there was a small accident. The person in charge was arrested and sent to jail after a scandal. And the experiment was top secret. He was the only one who knew about it. Then the experimental site was dismantled. Peter and Kelly were completely forgotten. 500 years have passed. Human intelligence has fallen below the red line. We don't even know how to handle the most basic garbage. Mountains of garbage, higher than Mount Everest. Finally, one day, a small can became the last straw that broke the camel's back. The mountain of garbage collapsed. A flood of garbage poured into the city. It just so happens that Pete's hibernation chamber is crushed into a room. Pete slowly sat up. Before he could react, he was thrown out of the window by the owner, Tom, who was thinking about his life. Thrown out the window, he stumbled into the street, only to find that something was wrong with the world before him. People are dumb. The movie being shown in the theater was called Ass. It's a shot of an ass for 90 minutes on repeat, and the movie won 8 Oscars. He thought something was wrong with his brain, so he went to the hospital to have it checked out. But the hospital was even more ridiculous. The nurse was dull-eyed and slow. Pete explained his situation in detail, only to see the nurse rule out in turn, but pain, headache, and childbirth. Pressed a button with a question mark and sent him for an examination. The doctor took out 2 small sticks and told him to put one in his mouth and one in his buttocks. The machine made a dripping sound as soon as it was placed. The doctor pulled them out, but it's not serious. It's just that the 2 sticks were reversed. He rushed to rinse his mouth. Who knows the faucet is a green liquid? He asked a passerby why there was no water. The other side looked like a fool and smiled. It turns out that people nowadays drink drinks to live. Water is only good for flushing the toilet. He was puzzled and picked up a magazine. On it was written 2505. Now he realized he had slept for 500 years. Doctors found no ID QR code on Pete's wrist. Thought it was a break-in. Immediately reported to the police. Pete was sent to court in a confused manner, but the judge was also dumbfounded at this point. Pete asked to see a lawyer, but the lawyer the court sent him, Tom, the thinking man on the toilet. With his impassioned defense, Pete was successfully sentenced to life in prison. Before going to jail, they gave Pete an IQ test, and the question was a simple 1 + 1 = 2. Finally understand that these people are not ordinary stupid. So when he was assigned a cell, he had the audacity to tell the guards he was supposed to get out of jail today, and so he walked out of prison with a straight face. But in this retarded world, he simply could not stay. He found Tom again, asking if over the years, has anyone invented a machine that can travel through time and space? I didn't think there really was. He asked Tom to take him to find a time machine, and promised that after he returned to 2005, he would give Tom $100 in his account. After 500 years, the interest alone will be tens of billions. The two of them hit it off immediately. On the way, Pete saw a familiar figure. It was Kelly, who was participating in the experiment with him. He was so excited. Finally, he found a normal person. Tom said that the time machine was in his. The time machine is in his lab from college. The 3 of them were on the run. They arrived at a square that looked familiar. What they didn't expect was, Tom said the university is the original supermarket chain, only now they don't sell anything anymore. The warehouses had been converted into classrooms. Pete was a little suspicious. That's when Carrie said she wanted to go to the bathroom. While they were waiting, a couple of cops came out of nowhere. They took Pete away again, but this time, they didn't send Pete to jail. Instead, he was sent straight to the presidential palace. The last IQ test made him famous. He became the smartest man in the country. This big guy with the big gold chain. This big guy with the big gold chain was the president. He ordered Pete to be the secretary of the interior to solve the country's food problem, or else he would be put in jail. Pete has no choice but to agree, but he doesn't know anything about agriculture. He had to go to the fields and inspect them in a pretentious manner. The result was a surprise. Fields are not watered with water, but the green energy drink in the tap. 200 years ago, this beverage company cornered the market and deliberately mislead people about water. Gradually, drinks completely replaced water. Even the newborn children could only drink drinks. Pete tried to use his little knowledge to tell people that crops need water to grow, but these people did not believe him. Finally, he had to pretend that he could understand the plants. They said they needed water. Then they agreed to try replacing the drink with water. Now we just have to wait for the plants to grow, and we can get out of it. But things didn't go well. That day, the office was suddenly under siege. It turns out that 2/3 of the country works for the beverage company. Pete's idea sent the beverage company's stock plummeting. They all lost their jobs. The unlucky Pete was put in jail again. To prevent him from escaping again, the guards tied a big rock to his feet. A forklift was sent to follow him with the rock to quell the anger. The president sentenced Pete to death. Only this one was a bit unusual. They pulled Pete into the arena. They gave him a small car. They put him up against 2 big trucks. If he wins, he gets off scot-free. Faced with 2 huge things, Pete threw the rock to the ground with a kick of the gas pedal, using inertia to pop himself out. And the 2 trucks crashed into each other and were directly strapped. The smooth operation. Everyone was stunned. They did not expect Pete's intelligence was so high. At the same time, a green leaf suddenly appeared on the big screen. Just now, Carrie found that the crops in the rice field are sprouting, so she hired a cameraman to broadcast the situation in the field to the big screen. Seeing the rows of growing crops, everyone couldn't help but applaud. The president pardoned Pete right away, and that was the end of it. Tom led them to the time machine. Unfortunately, it was just a toy train from the amusement park. Pete finally realized that he couldn't go back. As the most intelligent man of his time, he became president as a matter of course. Callie had no choice but to become his wife. After their marriage, they had 3 children, and 3 of the smartest children in the world. Tom became vice president thanks to him, but married 8 wives and had 32 children.